The world's largest Islamic organization decided to launch an anti-extremism campaign to try and combat jihadists in the ideological and theological realm. So they want to take part in this war of ideas and tell the jihadists that they're incorrect in the way that they practice Islam. So Nahdlatul Ulama, or NU, is the name of the group. It's in Indonesia, and it's 50 million members deep. That's unbelievable. That's a gigantic group. So Huffington Post explains here, quote, part Sunni religious body, part political party, and part charity, it was founded in 1926 as a response to another Sunni movement, Wahhabism. NU's stated goal is to spread messages about a tolerant Islam in their respective countries to curb radicalism, extremism, and terrorism, which they claim often springs from a misinterpretation of Islamic teachings. So they've set up headquarters all around the world to do conferences and seminars. They've built a prevention center in Indonesia to train students to engage with jihadist ideology. They're working with the University of Vienna in Austria to counter-message online ISIS propaganda. The Indonesian Ulema Council, which is the country's top Muslim clerical body, which includes the NU, announced a plan to mobilize 50,000 preachers to spread moderate or Wasatiyah Islam within Indonesia. Quote, pluralism may be the big idea that Indonesian Islam can bring to the world stage. Although Indonesian Muslims are a numerical majority, they live alongside Hindus and Buddhists who predated them on the island, and they share and mix spiritual traditions. Indonesia's national motto is unity in diversity. Okay, so now let's discuss this from a few different perspectives. So they say, again, this is their claim, quote, extremism and terrorism often springs from a misinterpretation of Islamic teachings. Now, is that something that I believe? Is that something that most other atheists believe? No. There are plenty of outright, literal, violent things in the Quran. That's also in the Old Testament, and in parts of the New Testament in the Bible. There are Hindu scriptures that are outwardly violent. So there is no, to say that, hey, the bad people are misinterpreting, and we have it right, and by definition, every holy book is peaceful. That's simply not true, okay? But having said that, what's happening here is a war of cherry pickers. So you have MLK and the KKK came out of the same Bible, where MLK pointed to all the lovely verses and said, this is what I believe, and this is true Christianity, and I'm going to spread this message. And you had the KKK say, think again, bitch. We got slavery in the Bible, we got segregation, we got pure tribalism, we got killings. That's true Christianity. I'm going to argue for that. The thing is, nobody can actually say what's true Christianity or untrue Christianity, what's true Islam or not true Islam, what's true Hinduism or not true Hinduism. It's just a matter of you cherry picking. It's a war of cherry pickers. So, since that's the case, am I going to be able to make everybody atheists or agnostics? I wish I could. I really do. And I'm going to continue to argue for my position fervently and vehemently every day. But since realistically, I'm not going to be able to convert everybody to atheism or agnosticism, well then, obviously, within the war of ideas, inside the different religions, we want these guys to win. Whether it's MLK in Christianity, or if it's Malala Yousafzai in Islam, or if it's NU in Islam in Indonesia, and again, they're trying to do this throughout the world, whether it's certain variations on Buddhism or Hinduism, that's more peaceful. So, while I still disagree with the liberal happy Christians, the liberal happy Muslims, the liberal happy members of any religion, just as much as I disagree with the fundamentalists and the conservatives and the bad people within that religion. So I think they're wrong, And I will continue to argue that they're wrong because it is a cherry-picking contest, and you are ignoring parts of the scripture, and you are believing a doctrine that is fundamentally untrue and embarrassing, honestly. It's stupid to believe these things. I'm still going to root for the good guys to win within that religion, and this is important, and this is something I think all other atheists need to get on board with, which is, so what's our job? Our job is to do what I do all the time, what I did yesterday and for this whole week, where I will literally take the contradictions in Scripture, read them out to you, and say, this is stupid. I'll take the physical impossibilities. You know, that Muhammad flying on a winged donkey. That's stupid. I'm going to call that out. I'm going to talk about the burning bush and the talking snake and the seven-headed dragon in the Bible as stupid. And I'm going to call it out. So my job is to fight against religion by pointing out the absurdities and the stupidity. But the job of the liberal religious people is to say, hey, if we're going to be religious, let's really disregard all the shitty stuff and cherry pick the good stuff. Now, there's still an inherent problem with that, because as long as you're accepting the doctrine as holy, then there's always you run the risk of somebody reading it and literally believing the bad stuff and then acting on the bad stuff. That problem is always going to exist. But that's why you need to attack the issue of fundamentalism and extremism from every angle possible, which means people like us argue that you should just dump religious doctrine completely because it's not true and it's potentially dangerous. And people like liberal Muslims, Christians, so on and so forth, they need to argue fervently for their position that, okay, if you're going to be Muslim, or if you're going to be Christian, or if you're going to be Hindu, if you're going to be part of whatever religion, at least believe these things which are compatible with the modern world and secularism and Enlightenment values. So I absolutely support what they're doing, and I need them to win in the battle of ideas within Islam. And while they're fighting that battle within Islam, I'll be here making the same arguments I always make about how people should dump all the holy books because they're not true and potentially dangerous.